Joe Longo, welcome to 7:30.
Thank you, Sarah.
Announcing this record fine today against ANZ, you said that the bank has betrayed the trust of Australians and is guilty of widespread misconduct against its customers. Does ANZ deserve to be in operation?
Well, ANZ is a major financial institution. It's going through a very difficult time. It's clearly not managing its non-financial risk properly or adequately. And what these proceedings this morning show is that it clearly failed to discharge its responsibilities when the Commonwealth was raising its $14 billion.
That's on the bond trading issue.
That's right.
And just to be clear, on the retail side, what are the most egregious acts that ANZ has carried out against its customers, its own customers?
Well, there are three sets of what we're calling retail matters. They relate to hardship applications where Australians are going through some personal problem or domestic violence or some life change where they need help from their bank. The banks are under an obligation to deal with that. In these proceedings, ANZ have admitted not adequately dealing with hardship applications and indeed suing some individuals who should have got better treatment. The other matters relate to bonus interest situations where the bank over many years in one situation promised customers or future customers bonus interest or a special interest deal if they opened an account with the ANZ, but didn't pay the interest. They've remediated that now, but it took them a while to get there. The third area is the deceased estates, and so the customers of the bank passing away and not dealing with issues arising from those situations in a timely manner, or indeed continuing to charge fees or services for customers who are no longer alive.
One of the big problems with this is that many of this is behaviour that we heard exposed clearly during the Royal Commission and commitments all through the banking industry that this would not reoccur, and yet this is a reoccurrence of the same kind of behaviour. Does that suggest that the culture inside ANZ has not changed?
Well, there's no doubt that this is a massive wake-up call for ANZ itself, but it's also a bit of a case study in you just can't be complacent. The modern banking these days requires up-to-date functioning systems and processes, and a lot of the failures we're talking about that let their customers down were system failures, process failures, underinvestment in their own processes, what we call non-financial risk investment. On the share trading side, that was a particularly serious incident where ANZ failed to discharge its responsibilities, and that ended up costing the Commonwealth more in raising funds.
You said today that there are fundamental issues with risk and compliance for executives and the board at ANZ in all of this behaviour that you're describing here. Why are there no penalties for individuals responsible?
These failures are institutional failures,
but
failures.
There are also individuals within that institution. There is no wrongdoing here that doesn't have an individual attached to it. So why no penalties for individuals?
Indeed, but there are hundreds of individuals that are caught up with these issues.
But presumably some more responsible than others.
Executives come and go, individuals come and go, systems did not function as they were supposed to function. In ASIC's view, what went wrong here was an institutional failure, an organisational failure. Having said that, for the future...
Did you consider levelling penalties against individuals?
We certainly compulsorily examined a range of individuals. Some of them are named in the court documents that were involved in this trading. But the ultimate finding of unconscionable conduct was a view taken collectively of the conduct of a whole range.
And what about in relation to the use and abuse of ANZ's own customers? There must be individuals who have overseen those actions leading to the descriptions that you've given today.
A whole range of individuals were involved in this misconduct over a number of years. The part of ASIC's job is to figure out whether a particular individual can be singled out for a special responsibility. That is not the position we took with these proceedings. We see this as an institutional failure, an organisational failure. However, I can say, Sarah, that one of the things that ASIC will be focusing on in the next 12 and 24 months is holding ANZ accountable for the remediation programs that it says it's conducting as we speak, and the senior executives that are responsible for those programs.
ASIC has brought 7 previous civil proceedings against ANZ, adding 4 more today. Doesn't that reflect a weakness in ASIC that this bank, ANZ, was able to repeat offend year after year?
ANZ has got to take responsibility for its own actions. ASIC's job is to hold banks like ANZ accountable.
But if they're able to offend year after year after year, doesn't that suggest that there's something wrong with the regulator as well as the bank?
I think it suggests there's something wrong with ANZ. ASIC is doing its job. It's holding, in this case, ANZ accountable. This is the biggest penalty ever that ASIC will be asking the court to impose on a bank with its admissions. That's 240 million Australian dollars on top of, as you say, Sarah, earlier matters. But this is a matter for ANZ. It's not to be laid at ASIC's door, misconduct or failures at ANZ.
Would you bank with ANZ?
Actually, I do bank with ANZ.
Any doubts about that? Looking around for a different bank, maybe?
Well, that's not appropriate for me this evening to talk about my personal banking arrangements.
I think you just did, though. So you have enough confidence to maintain your accounts with ANZ, despite them being grubby and all of the crimes that you listed?
They behaved grubbily in their discharge of their obligations as a duration manager for a very large bond offering 2 years ago.
You also said that they betrayed the trust of Australians, but you don't feel betrayed?
I feel very let down as a regulator.
And what about just as a person? Like lots of people watching you this evening, how should they feel?
Well, they should feel disappointed that a bank like ANZ can't manage its non-financial risk better.
Joe Longo, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.